Hey, I wanted to watch some weird, trippy stuff from the 60s and 70s, and boy, did I not disappoint myself. I'm going to talk about House, Night of the Living Dead, and El Topo. Things are going to get real weird. First up is House. This is a 1977 Japanese movie. The basic premise is there's this group of 7 schoolgirls who go off on summer break to this house. It belongs to an aunt of theirs, and while there, spooky stuff happens. This movie, I guess, could be considered a horror movie, but it's more just like it's just absolute bonkers craziness. It has its own style that's just so unique and just out there and crazy. It's just ridiculous and over the top. It knows exactly what it wants to be and it nails it. I actually have seen this movie before. I wasn't sure going into it, but then I remembered it as it went on. The floating head gave it away, as I definitely remember it. Watched it back in high school. A friend of mine brought it over at like 2 in the morning and was like, hey, I want to watch some weird Japanese thing I got at an anime convention. And I'm like, sure. And it was weird and ridiculous, and it is worth it. I don't know if I would really call this movie a horror movie just because it's not scary or anything. There is an absurd amount of blood, and it's great. Like, a room kind of fills up with blood at one point, spoilers. So I definitely loved the movie's like out there style. It's so ridiculous and so great. I also loved just each of the 7 girls. They each had their own personality. They each also had like a ridiculous nickname. Like the really pretty one's nickname was Gorgeous, or like the one who likes to fight a lot, her name is Kung Fu. Kung Fu's my favorite. She's just the best. Also, like the really nerdy one is nicknamed Professor. And it's like, oh, okay. But it also helps you remember who everyone is, because like they're all 18-year-old Japanese girls. So like their names really do help you know who they are. And they really do each have their own personality, and it's more than just like the nickname thing. I don't know, they each have their own character, and they really stand out on their own, and I love each of them for different reasons, and they're great. All of them are awesome. I would say I definitely love this movie. I didn't put it in the really liked category though, just because like the style, though it is amazing, can be just like a bit much at times. And even though this is a Criterion movie, I don't think they had the best translation, because there's a couple times things are like, that doesn't sound like real words. I don't think you're saying that right. So if you want just like a bonkers, over-the-top, ridiculous horror movie that's not really a horror movie, then yeah, definitely this is worth checking out. It's so ridiculous and just it's great. I love it so much. It's the best. It's the best. It's the best. Next up is Night of the Living Dead. This is a 1968 zombie movie, and this is basically like the zombie movie. It's where all of the tropes were established, pretty much all of the tropes. And like if you've seen anything since 1968 that's zombie related, it's influenced by this movie. Its fingerprints are on everything zombie related. Like this is where zombies started eating flesh, is this movie. Even though I was like obsessed with zombies in high school, I somehow didn't see this movie back in high school. And honestly, I really wish I would have, because I think it would have really inspired me. Because even though I made like 50 short films in high school, I somehow didn't make a zombie one. And I think had I seen this, I would have made a zombie movie. I have seen a lot of the other George A. Romero zombie movies, in particular both of the Dawn of the Dead movies. And I would say I like the original Dawn of the Dead more than this one, especially the ending. Like, this one does have a good ending, but I just like that whole story a bit more. Part of that has to do with the fact that, like, again, this is like where all the tropes were established, so like everything has copied this movie ad nauseum. So like I've seen this movie without having seen this movie. Same thing goes with like Citizen Kane. Like, you've seen Citizen Kane even though you haven't seen Citizen Kane. One thing I definitely really loved about it that I somehow didn't know about it was that the main character is a black man. I did not think that was going to happen in a movie from 1968. The other main character is a woman, and I really liked that too. I thought she was going to be the lead, but then she got kind of catatonic and didn't really do a whole lot the rest of the movie, which was a bit annoying. I do like that someone got catatonic in a zombie apocalypse, because that's definitely something that would happen. But just like with, having a black man as a lead character, it'd be cool to have like a nice strong female character as the other lead, but she wasn't. There are actually a number of women characters in the movie, so it's it is kind of rounded out a bit. So yeah, I like this one. It was good. It was solid. If you like zombie movies, it's definitely worth checking out, because this is where it all started, basically. And lastly is El Toho. This is a 1970 movie written, directed, and starring this guy. His name should probably sound familiar or look familiar. I can't pronounce that. He is very well known for doing weird and out there movies, more kind of nonsensical, strange, experimental type of things. And that's exactly what I wanted to watch. But I didn't enjoy this one. It was a little too out there for me. It's not really a basic premise. You're just following El Toho around as he does things that are really hard to describe. It's just kind of, he does stuff in the desert. It's classified as a Western. It's not. It's just a very experimental movie. It's very of its time, and I'm sure it's very influential. But it's just a series of events that don't really connect to each other. I guess kind of connect, but not really. And even just like, you could like segment this into just like little stories in and of itself, like episodes basically. But even them by themselves, they don't necessarily make sense. It's just kind of like the director just started filming stuff, and then he had an idea for something, and then just brought that in and just kept like, not improvising, but more just like train of thought, just like, all right, now let's do this other random thing that could be metaphorical in this way. And like the director himself even kind of described this movie as just like a little bit of everything. And I think that's more to the movie's detriment. It's a very experimental movie. He's trying to do stuff. And he definitely did stuff. But it didn't land for me. It took me a while to get through this movie. And like, I had to stop it for a bit and just be like, I just don't feel good right now. It's just too much. I don't know. It's just an experimental movie that it just didn't work for me. It might work for you. It definitely just doesn't work for me. Oh well. Alrighty, time for today's rankings. First up, we got House sitting at number 16 in the quite liked section. It's kind of near the top-ish of the quite liked. And then Night of the Living Dead is in the liked section, sitting at number 24. It's kind of nearest to the top of liked. And then bringing up the rear is El Topo in the disliked category, sitting at number 37, also at the top of the disliked category. Because it's like, I wanted to like it, but it's so weird, man. Jeez. Anyway, out of a total of 42 movies so far this year,